joining today's webinar, our European Partners campaign launch. The idea really being that we wanted to use this time to showcase to you campaigns that we've recently packaged up into a box to enable you and empower you better than before to help you drive with your demand gen activities. So what does the agenda look like? Today we will be running through introductions. We'll be looking at the campaigns in a box and what they look like, including the objectives and concepts. We'll be running through the two campaigns that we have in mind here around digital workplace and digital commerce, how we can create success together, the next steps that are involved and how you could potentially sign up to these if they look to be a fit for you. And then towards the end, we'll go into Q&A where we've put together some questions that we thought would be useful for you. I do want to highlight here that your feedback is important to us and we want to hear from you where we can. So we encourage you to use the chat function box in the interface to push across any questions that you may have. Who do we have on today? So it's myself, I'm Sabrina Smith, Field Marketing Manager of Lucidworks. I joined midway through last year with the rest of the European team to help them with functions in region. And I have alongside me Max Childs, Partner Marketing, supporting Lucidworks. And then we have Simon Taylor, who most of you are familiar with, to help us on the Q&A piece towards the end of the webinar. And with that, I will now pass over to Max.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for the introduction, Sabrina. So we've created these campaigns with some pretty clear objectives in mind. First and foremost, the idea is to help you, our partner, get off to a flying start this year in terms of building prospect engagement and lead generation. We realise that you're all busy, so the idea of the campaign in a box is that it's really easy and fast to implement. We literally take care of everything from start to finish. There's a minimal time commitment from your side in terms of creating content or building lead generation materials. And it's ready to go straight out of the box. Of course, if you do have additional content to contribute, we can incorporate that too. Lastly, and very importantly, the campaign's created around thought leadership materials. So the content is designed to be relevant to a wide audience. It's thought-provoking. It's deliberately not salesy, but it will facilitate follow-up discussion by the sales teams afterwards. And it really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So to the first campaign in the box concept. Firstly, you choose your content stream, be it digital workplace or digital commerce, depending on the focus of your primary audience. Secondly, choose the format. Both campaigns are designed to run either as a webinar or an in-person seminar. What you choose will depend on whether your audience are geographically concentrated or dispersed, and also your goals. So, for example, whether your goal is to get a large quantity of fresh new leads, or you prefer more in-depth one-to-one engagement that a seminar brings. Lastly, the campaign in the box content is provided ready to go. So from invitation materials and emails and social media promotional content to registration page templates and the presentation content material itself, through to follow-up materials, everything is pre-baked. The first campaign type, digital workplace. The theme for this campaign is how enterprises need to bring consumer-like search to the digital workplace. So the key themes that this campaign covers off include how workers are shopping for knowledge. We look at why enterprise search is so difficult. So, for example, we cover some of the issues that organizations have, such as information being hidden across multiple disparate systems, such as email, Salesforce, Jira, Dropbox, etc. How different naming conventions across departments can cause barriers, and also the inability of legacy search systems to cope with barriers such as typos, context differences, or subjective questions. Campaign looks at why good search is so important to organizations and the cost to organizations, such as reduced productivity and the impact on morale if they get it wrong. We look at how next generation AI or machine learning solutions can make a difference, and also it covers the productivity benefits of enterprise search and management when people get it right. Here we start to see some examples of how the campaign content is put together. So, for example, here in the campaign in the box, you've got promotional email examples and also social media content that is ready to go. We also provide templates for webinar or seminar registration pages that are required, of course. Difference is whether you decide to set this up and host it yourself or whether we host it on the Lucidworks website, but we can run with either version. The second campaign type is the digital commerce campaign. This content is based on presentation that we did with the IMRG a couple of months ago, which resonated really well with the audience of online retailers and drove several hundred leads. Some of the key themes that we cover off are why retailers need to get on-site search right and the business impact when they do get it right. We cover in the campaign some of the data that shows the increased value of customers that use on-site search. We also look at the 12 different types of search query. So, for example, the search based on benefits or features can be looking at subjective search or non-product search, natural language-based search, and give examples that retailers can relate to. Last, we look at practical guidance on how retailers can improve their search experience and what good should look like. Some examples of the content that we provide include, of course, the main presentation material itself. This can be standalone, so if there's no additional materials that you wish to add, then it works perfectly well by itself. Or if you do also want to speak or have materials or a speaker you want to contribute, then we can also add these in. And very importantly, we also include some follow-up content as well. And this is ideal to re-engage the prospects and provide the sales teams the reason to get in touch post-event. In terms of how to execute the campaigns, there are effectively two options. And the principal choices are that either you, the partner, take the lead on hosting the event, or Lucidworks takes the lead. The key difference is that if you decide to host, then you also need to organise the website registration pages or take the lead in organising the venue if it's an in-person seminar, and provide the webinar hosting as a webinar. Who takes the lead also determines who owns the contact and the follow-up. Irrespective of who hosts, there's a big emphasis that it is down to also you, the partner, to promote the event, as ultimately it is about lead generation for you. Lastly, we are very much open to discussions around co-funding promotion. So if, for example, you don't have a large database and wish to consider promoting the activity to external lists, then that could be something that we could look at working on together. So what next? Well, we'd love to pick up the conversation with you after this call. Key things to consider in terms of what you'd like to do are, firstly, the content. So who are your audiences? Where are they based? Are they geographically concentrated or dispersed? What are they most likely to be interested in? Have you got any additional content, for example, that you'd like to add to the campaign? Next is the objectives that you wish to achieve. What is it that you want? Are you after a mass audience with a higher volume of leads or contacts, or perhaps less engagement? For example, a webinar may be better suited to do that. Or you're really looking to have much deeper level engagement with fewer contacts, in which case a seminar would probably work better. You need to consider the format. So the webinar and seminar will be influenced by your answers to the first 2 points, but need to consider and then look at the timings and also speaker availability. Lastly, promotion is vital to seeing success, whatever campaign type you decide to run. and should never underestimate the lead time required to properly promote and ensure that you get a good audience attending. A good rule of thumb is that we would normally look at trying to organise a webinar 6 weeks in advance, and for a seminar you probably want to look at nearly 12 weeks. It can be done slightly faster, but this is what we'd kind of recommend for optimum results. You also need to look at the size of your database, as this may affect the format of the event that you want to run. And so we're very happy to look at and discuss any budget for external promotion or looking at external databases. We've now got a Q&A session. Sabrina, do you want to kick off the questions?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that, Max. Basically, we've put together here 6 questions that we think would be of use to you, and you may be thinking while we've been running through the content of the webinar. So the first is, how do I sign up to run with a campaign? Answer to that being quite simply, communicate to us. You can contact us either by email or by phone, saying which of the campaigns, if not both, are of interest to you. And then as the next step, we'll set up a call to walk through with you how we can execute on the campaign, who's hosting it, and the timelines that are involved in that. And second question for you, Max, what would it mean to use a third-party database?
So, for example, if you wanted to do a large amount of lead generation, for example, a webinar, but don't have a very complete or extensive database, then one option could be that we do this by either renting data or working with a publisher to promote the webinar via their database. Both options can work well in terms of generating new leads or contacts, but naturally there's a cost involved. But there are a couple of examples.
Brilliant, thank you. And then, is budget mandatory for us to participate in the campaign?
So it depends really on what you want to do. If you've got a good database with plenty of current active contacts on it to promote the event to, then you can do this. You could do a webinar at virtually zero cost. However, if you want to do a physical event, or you decide that you want to promote through a third party and rent data or get a third party list involved, then clearly this costs money. Although depending on the proposal, then we are very open to sharing costs to look to get for a good solution together.
Thank you. Number 4, what do we do if we don't have dedicated marketing resource? And our answer to that is we recognise that not every organisation is built out in the same form. So we've purposely designed our campaigns to be set up with this in mind. The content has been created for you so that it is as easy to just execute on it. However, those without marketing resource may opt for the Lucidworks hosted option with the campaign, so that we can take more of the heavy lifting for you. And then the next question is, how much of a time commitment will it be from our side?
So this really depends on how involved you want to be in what you want to do. So, for example, if you decide that you'd rather host the website pages yourself and run and organise the event and or supplement the content with your own materials and the speaker, then of course there'll be additional time commitment. But if you're happy with the campaign in a box as it is, and is designed to be potentially standalone if you'd like it to be that way, then all we'd simply ask you to do is to manage the promotion of the activity internally, in which case the time commitment is minimal, as all the content is prepared.
Great, thank you. And the final one we have listed here is, are there any other campaigns available in a box as presented today? Our answer to that is yes, of course. We're adaptable, and we want to make sure that we're creating campaigns and content that are of use to you as our partner community. We do have other campaigns, such as building a business case for enterprise search, available to you and others. It might be that you want more of middle of funnel campaigns rather than top of funnel as we've presented today. But this is a starting point, and we're using today's webinar to launch these campaigns, to use our partner community, to get feedback, and to figure out what's going to be a best fit for you. We do ask that you can look on lucidworks.com and find any other campaigns there that might be of interest, and then communicate that to us, and we can look to package up another campaign. Now, I'm just going to go into the Q&A section one moment and see if there's any questions that we've had come through. So one we have here is are the campaigns available in any other language? As of today, we do have the campaigns in English only. However, we are very aware that we're trying to build out in the DACH market. So we do have German language on our radar, and we have started to create some of the smaller pieces of content in local language, and we'll then look to start rolling out fully packaged campaigns in German language later on in the year. With that, we would now like to encourage a bit of participation on the webinar and get some of your feedback. So I'm going to push the audience poll and ask you to take a moment to complete it. So first question that we have is, are you interested in running one of these campaigns that we've presented to you today? You can answer yes, I would like to run with both. Yes, I would like to run with digital commerce campaign. Another option, I would like to run with digital workplace campaign. And then finally, not at this time. So if you could just take a moment to fill that. And our second poll question before we wrap up for today is, do you have any suggestions on how we could potentially modify the campaigns that we've shown on today's webinar? So the first option being, no, we're happy with the content as it's being presented. Second option being, yes, I would like to have a more vertical specific campaign. Or thirdly, yes, I would like to also add content in myself. If you could just click through to your answer, please. And while you're doing that, just wanted to give you the contact details of where you can send any feedback, questions, queries, or request uptake on the campaigns. And that is partnerteam@lucidworks.com. And we've got that showcased on the screen here. And to also reiterate that this webinar has been recorded today, so not to worry, you can watch it back if you need to, and we can make the slides available to you as well post-event. With that, I would like to thank each and every one of you, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.